The 2008 British Grand Prix has gone down in history as one of the greatest individual performances by a Formula 1 driver ever, as a then sophomore Lewis Hamilton wheeled his McLaren to victory in dramatic wet conditions by over a minute on second place. The victory saw him go from P4 in the standings to level at the top of the championship with his rival for that year, Ferrari's Felipe Massa. The British crowd cheered jubilantly as Lewis stood atop the podium, hoisting his trophy in the air and celebrating with second place Nick Heidfeld, who helped carry BMW's impressive start to 2008, a start that peaked with a 1-2 finish in Canada that saw his teammate Robert Kubica take the lead of the championship. And in third was Rubens Barrichello for Honda. Now, the race was... Wait, Rubens Barrichello for Honda? To fully put into context just how insane a result Rubens' podium was that day, one must first understand the situation. Barrichello joined Honda in 2006 after splitting from Ferrari and Michael Schumacher, a partnership that resulted in 9 Grand Prix victories and 11 poles. Not to mention the 5 straight Constructors' Championships he won with Michael from 2000 to 2004. As Rubens got offloaded for Felipe Massa, he would join Honda alongside Jenson Button, a British driver that had cemented himself as a force to be reckoned with since joining the team, scoring 10 podiums and a P3 finish in the Drivers' Championship in 2004. Honda would finally see the top step of the podium that year, with Jenson winning the Hungarian Grand Prix. Jenson only scored 3 podiums in 2006, with Rubens not making it to the podium at all. However, the team still managed to score a P4 finish in that year's Constructors' Championship. Unfortunately for Honda, the team would nosedive in 2007. A ban on tobacco advertising meant BAR was no longer a part of the team, meaning Honda was now a standalone team with no title sponsor. The team would respond by donning the infamous Earth livery, seeking to raise awareness to environmental causes. Testing was less than ideal. It was obvious the car was nowhere near its previous level, and to say that this season was a nightmare was an understatement. Just 1 year after finishing P4 in the Constructors, Honda finished 2007 in P8, only 2 points ahead of Super Aguri, a team that finished dead last in 2006 and a team that was using Honda engines as a customer team. That P8 would have actually been P9 had McLaren not been disqualified from the 2007 Constructors' Championship. The team scored points only 3 times at the hands of Jenson, with Rubens going an entire season without scoring points for the first time in his 14-season F1 career. A newer take on the Earth livery, coupled with Ross Brawn's arrival as the team principal, saw Honda in line to have an uptick in form in 2008, and for the most part, it kinda did. The team's first points of the season came with a P6 in Spain by Jenson Button. Rubens would then score points for the first time since the 2006 Brazilian Grand Prix after scoring a P6 in Monaco, and then would score back-to-back points with a P7 in Canada. A P14 by Rubens and a retirement for Jenson in France would reflect the harsh reality that for the most part, Honda was still a lower midfield to backmarker team. But then came Silverstone. The 2008 running of the British Grand Prix saw both Hondas qualify 16th and 17th, with Rubens ahead. The day came for the race and wet conditions met the drivers. As the race began, drivers were spinning all over the place. Mark Webber, even pole sitter Heikki Kovalainen. The field learned that fresh wet tires was the way to go, evident by Kimi Raikkonen and Fernando Alonso staying on their worn wet tires and losing massive amounts of time. The 2 Hondas kept themselves out of trouble and trucked along. However, the boldest decision of the race came as clouds continued to harrow over the track. Most of the field stayed on regular wet tires. However, Rubens, anticipating more rain, had opted to go onto the extreme wet tire. His stop was very slow due to a fueling mishap which cost his teammate Jenson Button quite a lot of time as he sat behind him in the double stack. Despite being held up in the pits by the slow refueling, Rubens' call for extreme wets was absolutely the right one to make, as rain bucketed down the track, giving him a massive pace advantage over those on worn regular wets. Rubens blew by the struggling and spinning drivers, and by the time the track was good enough for regular wets, Rubens Barrichello had climbed all the way to P3. From there, he pit for regular wets and carried home his Honda in a brilliant P3 finish. A P3 that could have probably even been a P2 had the refueling gone a bit quicker. In a post-race interview, Rubens spoke about how much he struggled with wet driving as a young racer and how he became comfortable in damp conditions.
I wasn't good on the wet. On my very first race, I wasn't at all good in go-kart, and I remember the strategy was to, next time it was wet in Interlagos with a go-kart, to take the slicks and go learn on the wet. And that's what I did for half a day, and then when I put the wet, I was a master. It was unbelievable. And oh man, don't ask me the year, because you're definitely not born. So it's 82, yeah. You see, I'm still young, am I?
This would be Honda's last podium in Formula 1 for the next 11 years, until Max Verstappen's P3 at the 2019 Australian Grand Prix. As for the team, though they finished P9 in the championship and never scored another point after this race, Ross Brawn's overhaul of the team saw the creation of Brawn GP for 2009, and after retaining both Jenson and Rubens, the team went on to win the Constructors' Championship on its debut, while Jenson captured his very first World Championship, and Rubens would go on to add 2 more Grand Prix wins to his lengthy career. 2008 Silverstone separated the wheat from the chaff in terms of both strategy and driver ability, and on a day as tricky as the one they raced on, Rubens used his 14 seasons of experience to orchestrate a perfect race and maximized what was essentially a backmarker to take what was arguably the most impressive podium of the 2000s decade. Hopefully this video will help the few that watch it to look back and appreciate just how amazing a performance this was. My name is Intern, I talk wheel, and thanks for watching.